right, so now let's talk about Bronx Tale. So when you were growing up, did anybody tell you you look like Robert De Niro?
I mean, I worked at a florist when I was like 13, 14 years old. And I remember I was putting out the Christmas wreaths, and I had an Atlanta Braves hat, and I'm putting this stuff down. A guy asked me a question, and I said, huh? And he said, hey, man, he said, anyone ever tell you look like Robert De Niro? And that was the first time I ever heard that. It was at Johnny's Florist in Yonkers, working around Christmas time, and I was doing the Christmas wreaths, putting them out for display. And once he said that, like I had heard the name, but I wasn't quite sure if I knew who he was. So I remember asking my dad, who's Robert De Niro? My dad had some cassette, VHS tapes, because my dad was an immigrant. Oh, this is a Robert De Niro. My father said in Sicilian, he said in Sicilian, "I sapi giocare tutti parte." He knows how to play every part. That's what he said about Robert De Niro. I sapi giocare tutti parte. He knows how to play everything, this guy. And I was like, okay. So I started watching, like I watched Raging Bull, and I could see how people could say that there is a resemblance. Like, okay, wow. And I never quite saw acting like that. I don't know if I paid attention to it as closely, but I never quite saw acting like that or a screen presence quite like that. Like when I saw Robert De Niro, I was like, wow, man, I was just in love with the whole thing. With his ability and the screen presence and just what the emotion that he evoked in me watching film that he was in. So now I'm like, wow, this guy's unbelievable. So then I would put orange peel in my mouth. I would try to be Jake LaMotta. I'd get my brother in the mix, have him Joey. I grew my hair like Cape Fear. And I was like really, really into his movies and stuff. And then they found me on the beach for The Bronx Tale. So it couldn't have been like, it was like a perfect thing. It's like all that stuff that I just told you I did, with stuff with my brother. It was almost like, and this was unbeknownst to me that I'd see this guy on the beach one day and get this opportunity, but it was almost like I was practicing and rehearsing and practicing for that day, because when that day came, I was ready. It's like, Robert De Niro, are you kidding me? I was just doing impersonation of him in my bathroom last week. Of course, Robert De Niro. And then that was it. I did Taxi Driver, and it worked. The guys, saw the resemblance. Marco Greco was his name. He loved it. Went into audition, got with him in the Bronx, and then he was like the gatekeeper, and then whoever did well went to the next level. So then I went to Tribeca, and I was going there, like called back every day, and there was less and less kids. And then I finally met De Niro. I worked with him. Eventually they put me on film, screen test, and I got the part, and then, obviously went on to do other things.
So when you finally met De Niro in person, were you starstruck? Because I'm a little starstruck right now, so I'm just saying.
Yeah, I was because it kind of caught me off guard. Because I already saw Chaz, like you'd see him in the building when we were waiting on the sofas in the waiting rooms. Chaz would come down and say hello to everyone, stuff like that. De Niro didn't really do that. Not to say it's a bad thing. I guess he just, you know what I mean? I don't think, he's not the type of guy that wouldn't come out there because he thinks he's too good. He wouldn't come out there because he figures, I want these guys to be the best they can be. And if I come out there right now, I may distract that. And then they may have been great, but then when they got in the room after that distraction, they may not be so great. So I'm not seeing who and what they really can bring to this. So he stayed away, and then everyone was introduced up to that point on a first name basis. And then they said we're going to go upstairs and meet Bob. And he was sitting with his back to me, and I was back there that way. And Robin Chambers said, Bob, Lillo is here to see you. So then he did the turnaround, and that's when I saw him. I don't know if you remember a film called Mad Dog and Glory. He looked like he did in that film because he had just finished. So he had that like blondish, that weirdish color, brown blonde. But that's what it was. He did Mad Dog and Glory, and that's when I met him. And he got up, and not a man of many words. And he's kind of a shy, introverted guy, but a very, very, very good guy. a good guy, a good loving guy, includes, he's got empathy, he's like you know what I mean? You could see, like, once you break past that first, you know what I mean, that first layer of whatever, you know what I mean, then he gets to know you a little bit. You could see what a sweet, beautiful, like a gentle, good man that he is, you know?
So, do you have any story that stuck with you from that movie?
There's so many. There's so many. I mean, I've said this before, but I remember when we were doing the funeral scene, Chaz was in there all day. He fell asleep and he started snoring. And De Niro was really trying to maintain his composure. But, and he did for a little bit. But I remember he just couldn't take it anymore, and we all started laughing. It was pretty, it's funny. But there's so many. I mean, there's so many. That was an experience. That was an experience of a lifetime. It's like something like that. I mean, I don't think I'll ever experience again. Even if I work in film and stuff like that, that was just such a special situation. De Niro's in the film, but he's also the director, and he's overseeing everything and what wardrobe, people need to wear. It was a very special experience.
So, are you keeping up with any cast member like Miss Hicks or anything like that?
Ralph Hicks is one of my best friends. I'm very close to her. I got to say, I'm closer to her than probably anybody else in the film. I had a podcast myself. I had Dominic Lombardozzi on the show, who played Nicky Zero. He's a great guy. Louis Veneria, Crazy Mario. I actually talked to him a couple of weeks ago. He's a great guy. The other guys, I really don't see them that much. A lot of guys passed away, a lot from Sonny's crew and stuff. Remember, that's 30 years ago, that film. 30 years ago. So a lot of guys did, like JoJo the Whale, he passed away. Danny K.O., he passed away. Frankie Coffee Cake, he passed away. So a lot of people are, but I try to keep up with, as many people as possible from that film,
Tell me this. So you grew up in an Italian household. That movie is about an Italian family. So is it pretty accurate? Was it a pretty accurate display of an Italian household?
Well, they were more Italian American. We were my parents were Italian immigrants, so it was a little different. But yeah, it definitely. I think it definitely captured what it was supposed to capture. I think it was very authentic. I mean, look what he did. He went and got unknown actors just for the authenticity. Kathy Narducci played his wife. She's from, country club in the Bronx. So that's the Bronx. You can't get more Bronx than that. Francis Capra, who played the young me. He's from Pelham Bay Park in the Bronx. All the other kids from Arthur Avenue. Dominic, Luigi. Louis is from Pelham Bay. So I think the film is very authentic.
That's the one thing I really enjoyed about the film. I thought, it was just it was, a normal family,
looks
Italian
authentic.
family. Yeah, it does. It does. It just looks like you're glimpsing into someone's life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that the movie is beautiful. I mean, I don't really think they could have done anything different.
Dope movie, man. I love that movie.
Yeah. So what did you do with your first, we read somewhere your first payout was like $25,000 for that movie. What did you do with your first payout?
Oh, I don't even know. My parents, no, but I'm saying my parents put it in the bank for me. I don't even know. So I didn't go buy that one thing, you know what I mean? Even though I was 16, I didn't go buy a car with it, whatever it was. But yeah, it was just put in the bank and used later on for whatever.